Hello friends, in this video lecture we will discuss chronic gastritis. Now, symptoms associated with chronic gastritis are typically less severe but more persistent. The most common cause of chronic gastritis is infection with Bacillus Helicobacter pylori or H. pylori. The second most common cause of chronic gastritis and most common cause of atrophic gastritis is autoimmune gastritis. Then there are some less common causes include radiation injury, chronic bile reflux, mechanical injury, involvement by systemic diseases such as Crohn's disease, amyloidosis or graft versus host disease, and psychological stress, caffeine, alcohol, tobacco. So let us take the most common and most important cause of chronic gastritis, that is H. pylori gastritis. So these spiral shaped or curved bacilli are present in gastric biopsy specimen of almost all patients with duodenal ulcers and majority of the patients with gastric ulcer or chronic gastritis. So now acute infection by H. pylori does not produce sufficient symptom. It is chronic gastritis that ultimately causes patient to seek treatment. So H. pylori organisms are present in 90% of individuals with chronic gastritis affecting antrum. So antrum, gastric antrum is the most commonly affected part. There is increased acid secretion that occurs in H. pylori gastritis, which may result in peptic ulcer disease, and H. pylori infection also increases the risk of gastric cancer. Now, in mode of transmission is not well defined, but as the humans are the only known host, oral to oral, fecal-oral and environmental spread are the most likely routes. So, in pathogenesis, H. pylori gastritis predominantly it is antral gastritis with high acid production despite hypogastриnemia. The risk of duodenal ulcer is increased in this patient, and in most of the cases gastritis is limited to antrum with occasionally involvement of cardia. There are four features which are linked to H. pylori virulence. First is flagella, which allows the bacteria to be motile in viscous mucus. So this is the flagella which is responsible for the motility of organism in mucus. Then urease, which generates ammonia from endogenous urea and thereby elevates the gastric pH. Adhesins that enhance bacterial adherence to surface foveolar cells, and toxins such as cytotoxin associated gene A. This gene is involved in ulcer as well as cancer development. So H. pylori gastritis result in increased acid production and therefore causes imbalance between the mucosal defensive forces and damaging forces. So over time, chronic antral H. pylori gastritis may progress to pangastritis, resulting in multifocal atrophic gastritis. Now this progression can be due to either host factor or factors associated with organism. Host factors like there is in individual with polymorphism in pro-inflammatory cytokines, tumor necrosis factor and interleukin 1 beta has a higher chances of this progression, as well as disease may also be influenced by genetic variation among H. pylori strains. For example, CAG-A gene is present in 90% of the H. pylori isolate with elevated gastric cancer risk. So in morphology, endoscopically, H. pylori infected antral mucosa is usually erythematous and has a coarse or even nodular appearance. Within the stomach, H. pylori are typically found in antrum as it is the most commonly affected part. Now H. pylori can be demonstrated easily on gastric biopsy by special stains, like in case of this picture, all these are organisms demonstrated by virgin starry silver stain. Microscopically, intraepithelial neutrophils and subepithelial plasma cells are characteristic of H. pylori gastritis. As you can see in picture B, there are intraepithelial neutrophils and subepithelial plasma cells are characteristic of H. pylori. Long-standing H. pylori gastritis may extend to involve the body and fundus, and the mucosa can become atrophic. Lymphoid aggregates, some with germinal center, are frequently present, as you can see in this figure C. This is the lymphoid aggregate with germinal center. So diagnosis can be done by serological tests for antibodies to H. pylori, fecal bacterial detection, and the urea breath test based on the generation of ammonia by bacterial urease. Or gastric biopsy specimen can also be analyzed by rapid urease test, bacterial culture, detection of DNA by PCR. Now, in treatment of H. pylori gastritis, generally combination of antibiotics and proton pump inhibitors are used. So, what are the long-term consequences of H. pylori gastritis? So, as we saw, acute infection does not produce symptoms, but after months it becomes chronic gastritis, and after years there is hyperacidity which may predispose to peptic ulcer. There can be chronic atrophic gastritis which may result in intestinal type of metaplasia which may progress to dysplasia and may ultimately progress to gastric carcinoma. Or there can be lymphoproliferative disorder like lymphoma involving mucosa associated lymphoid tissue. So these three are the long-term consequences of H. pylori gastritis. Now let us see the difference between second most common type, autoimmune chronic gastritis, and H. pylori gastritis. Apart from infection with H. pylori, what are the other difference between these two? So H. pylori gastritis generally involves antrum, here it is body. Inflammatory infiltrate includes neutrophil and plasma cells, while in autoimmune, lymphocyte and macrophage. Acid production is increased in case of H. pylori gastritis, while in autoimmune it is decreased. Gastrin is normal to decrease in H. pylori, here it is increased. Other lesions associated with H. pylori gastritis is hyperplastic and inflammatory polyp, while in case of autoimmune it is neuroendocrine hyperplasia. Serology in H. pylori shows antibody to H. pylori, here it shows antibodies to parietal cells. Long-term consequences include peptic ulcer and adenocarcinoma in case of H. pylori. Here it is atrophy, pernicious anemia, adenocarcinoma and carcinoid tumor. H. pylori is associated with low socio-economical status, while autoimmune is associated with other autoimmune diseases like thyroiditis, diabetes, Graves' disease. So that was the second most common type, autoimmune. Then there are few less common type of chronic gastritis like reactive gastropathy, eosinophilic gastritis, lymphocytic gastritis and granulomatous gastritis. So this was about chronic gastritis. In next video lecture we will discuss peptic ulcer disease.